Wow. We're still here. We're still rolling. We're still pumping.
We're still queer.
We're doing videos. We're in the sesh.
A dank sesh.
So.
Seshomaru.
Hope won't like this argument at all. But
after I was so nice.
Yeah, she's so nice and I love her so much. But there's one thing. There's one biggest problem in the universe I have that Hope disagrees with me on.
Yeah, what is that?
And so going back to the story of the normie girl and her boyfriend who won't do the dishes. Like, I kind of wondered a little bit. And this is me projecting because, like, not every guy thinks the way I do. And I recognize that. And, like, I would have never gotten to the point that guy was at where he wasn't helping with the dishes. Because I would have noticed her struggling, you know? I might not have immediately thought to do the dishes, but I would have noticed her struggling and, like, and helped out. Because I am driven by guilt, you know? So, like, I feel bad if I see someone working hard and I'm not working too. So, like, maybe it would have taken to all the dishes being piled up and then she's finally doing it, but then in the end I would have gone like, oh shit, I fucked up, and then I would have helped her do the dishes, you know, or been like, get out of here, I'll do it myself, I'm sorry, you know. That's how Victor reacts to that kind of thing. But I couldn't help but wondering with this guy, because he's so, you know, he's used to it being that way. And so far, to him, it hasn't been a problem that she's done all the dishes, you know?
Right.
And so it's a new change that she's working full time. And, like, how long has she been working that way? Like, how long has that situation been going on?
She's been working at that place for 5 months or so.
Okay, this is an inexcusable amount of time, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
It's not that new. She's been there for a while.
Like, yeah. This guy is inexcusable at that point, but I want to use this to segue into my own topic. But, and I'm, you know, referencing how I was thinking about it at the time. But I started to kind of wonder, like, has she actually asked him to help? Because I can completely see, I'm not saying that this is what happened, because it sounds like it probably wasn't. But I can see that she gets this new job, and now, you know, he's used to her doing the dishes all the time. She gets a new job, and so now doing the dishes is stressful. But she doesn't say anything. Because Hope will corroborate this. But I'm not gonna say only women, but certain people.
certain people.
But my dad was kind of this way too. Certain people want you to do things without you having to ask.
Right.
You agree with that, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, the idea you want me to do something without having to ask.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, like, was it that he refused to do the dishes, or was it that she never actually asked him to do the dishes, but she saw it as a problem that he wasn't offering to help, and so she gets super mad about it, and it broods up over all this time, and this guy being oblivious. Like, we know this guy is oblivious, because he isn't fixing the problem. So, from the perspective of him being oblivious, like, if she has a big problem with him not helping out, and he is completely oblivious to it, is it completely his fault that she didn't just ask him to do the dishes? Like, at the end of the day, like, I'll let you give your perspective on it so that I can give my rebuttal before I spoil the end of it. But I am very strong. This might be the biggest problem in the universe might be people expecting other people to read their mind and do something without just asking and making a big deal out of it.
Well, Victor, I wouldn't call it mind reading.
Yes.
And here's why.
Well, that was a poor choice of words, because now it's going to give you all this ammo to rebuttal with. But
it's not mind reading, because here's the problem. In our society, in a household, when things get dirty in the house and as chores pile up, the mentality typically is that the men don't particularly care. They can live with it. It's not a problem. They know that if it's left alone long enough, eventually the person who cares about it the most will address it. And the person who cares about it the most is almost always the female in the house. Because
I want to avoid bringing gender into it because.
But is that not true?
It is a little bit, but then I can make the argument that in my house it was completely the opposite. It was my dad who'd always break down, and my mom wouldn't fucking do anything because she's lazy.
I think that's an exception.
So yeah, but I'm trying to keep, you know, I'm trying to factor that in and keep gender out of the argument because I
believe gender was very much in the debate we had.
Well,
previously.
Yeah, a little bit because I don't know.
It was.
But I don't think it strictly applies to gender.
Okay.
I don't think the problem is strictly that.
Regardless. As a scenario of people living in a house together in an environment that would be... But both people benefit when chores are kept up with and facilities are maintained.
Yes.
What it's going to come down to is the person who cares the most is going to be the one who can no longer tolerate the situation being in the state that it's in, and they're going to, you know, clean the whatever, do the dishes, vacuum,
it's very fair to say the person who cares the most, because there are scenarios where there won't be a girl.
That's true.
Or it's not always on the girl. Sometimes girls are lazy, you know?
Yes, the person who cares the most.
Women. It's the person who cares the most.
Will inevitably be the one who rectifies the situation.
Yeah. And you have I know you have that one friend, the Dungeons and Dragons lady, who's like, I won't do the dishes. I make the husband do all of that because I refuse. Because I had to do it growing up. And like, I was forced to do that a lot of the time growing up because Connor would refuse to do anything and Shade would refuse to do anything, and the parents would just get fucking, you know, they still get mad at me, and I am the one who cares the most about not getting yelled at, so I would end up having to, you know, pick up the slack a little bit sometimes, or getting further into it, because what it comes down to me is pride. Like, at the end of the day, the reason you're upset that someone else isn't pulling their weight is because of pride. It's less about how much effort it actually takes to get it done.
Well, here's what I feel like it's about.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're living in an environment with other people where they are also part of the cause of making the mess.
Yes.
And they also benefit when you clean up the mess that was not solely created on your own.
Yes.
Then at that point, that person should look at what's going on and say, I am a part of the unit that lives in this environment.
Yeah.
And I should be contributing to that unit to make our lives better overall. It should be something that should not have to be asked of you because you're living in a community.
That is pride. The feeling of not wanting to have... No.
Yeah, that's just decency of living with other people.
It is. It is human decency. People should act that way, but the fact of the matter is that they don't. Like, the thing is, if you're living with people who aren't cleaning up after themselves, and you're just thinking like, oh, they should be decent people and they should be doing this, they won't. That's where the problem comes in. Even though you're right, even though your mentality is the superior mentality, even though that's how the world should work, it doesn't, and they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, but that's frustrating.
It is. It's incredibly frustrating. But here is the other part. Because it is frustrating. But if you never say anything, nothing will ever get done.
Okay, but here's the converse part of that.
Yes.
Especially, okay, I have to say, especially in a male-female dynamic.
Uh-huh.
If the female asks the male to do something, she's gonna get labeled a nag. My girl is nagging me to take out the trash.
But the thing
my girl is nagging me to do the dishes. It's like, no, she's asking you to help her maintain your environment, and you're perceiving, because you're being made to do work you don't want to do, you're now going to put it off as being nagged. And you're gonna, this girl is then gonna feel bad about herself
when you're
because she's being labeled as a nag when she really just wants some help to maintain your quality of life.
in that scenario, you know, that's where it ends to, like, that's where I agree, yes. That guy's being a motherfucker. If you're complaining about someone nagging, you're being a little bitch. But that to me is fair, you know? I agree with that. What the only thing that bothers me is when there's a problem. Okay, I have to quit the train. I thought it was going to be end.
I was like, are you just going to bounce forever?
But what I don't like is when there's a problem and someone's getting really upset about it. Like, if you can get upset about it, then you should be saying something. Because, like, if I'm you know, this happened all the time with my parents, where it's like, my dad will, he has that same feeling when it comes to, like, yard work and stuff, where he just, like, somehow would get it in his head that we should be noticing and pitching in, even though we never go outside, we never look at the lawn, we never think to mow the lawn, we don't enjoy mowing the lawn, we would never, on our own will, just think, I'm gonna go mow the lawn. But to him, it's like, oh, but, you know, I work all the time, and I do this and that, and so, like, you should be mowing the lawn, you should think to mow the lawn. It's like, well, the thing is, we're not.
Yeah.
And if you came up to me most of the time, like if my dad came up to me, maybe not Con Ed or Shade, they wouldn't fucking do it, but if he came up to me and was like, hey Victor, go mow the lawn, I'd do it. Because I'm driven by that guilt, and I will do it. So like, just sometimes I can be genuinely oblivious. Especially around here, when it comes to like, you know, sweeping and like cleaning the bathtub. Like, I've never had to do it, because you always do it. So like, if you were gone for a week and came back, I will not have cleaned the bathtub because I will not have thought to do it. But if you gave me a chore list, you know, if you left for a week and gave me a chore list and said, Victor, you need to do these things, I would do them without question, no problem. When you texted me earlier, we're like, put away the dishes, and I was like, you know what, I should. I am vaguely aware that is a thing that is there, and I haven't put away the dishes, but I have not thought, like, maybe when I was in there washing more dishes and putting them there, I probably thought vaguely, like, I should probably put these away. And then I drifted off and started thinking about something else and completely don't remember. Because I am ADD and scatterbrained and I don't fucking remember anything I'm doing. If I see a problem, I'll think, I should probably fix that. And then literally 5 seconds later, I forget it was ever a thing. So, like, I understand that I should remember these things, and I should be more observant and pitch in more, but the fact is that I'm not, and I won't think about it. So, like, particularly, I never want you to be upset with me over something that I didn't do.
The thing is, you perceived this as being about you when it wasn't.
No, well, I know.
It's about the
that was the other thing, is that I projected on him a little bit. It was like trying to play devil's advocate and be like, well, maybe you can give this guy, maybe he's not so bad, you know?
Well, it's really about the overarching trend that I see in relationships where there's an unfair proportion of work placed on one person. And the other person does not contribute. Yeah.
And because initially it was like, men don't contribute, and I'm just like, oh, not all men. That's the gut reaction, and then I kind of, most men are assholes. I can't think of myself as most men. Most men aren't going to give a shit.
That's the thing, as far as gender goes, normally guys care less about that stuff than girls. Normally. There are girls who don't care about that. I totally agree, and I totally acknowledge that. But as a rule of thumb, girls are going to care more. So they're going to end up getting the majority of the work.
That makes sense. It's fair. But it bothers me just from experiencing it so much of my childhood that, like, I don't feel like you can get a little upset, you can be a little disappointed when, like, someone isn't pulling their own weight, but, like, don't get mad at them, you know? Because, like, you see sometimes where people will be fucking brooding for a long time against someone else. Just like, that motherfucker, he's not cleaning, he's not doing this. And it's like, well, have you asked him? And then it's like, no, they should just know. They should just know. And it's like, well, they don't. They clearly don't.
I do feel like
they're not doing it. So there's something not clicking there. Like, you gotta voice up and, like, let people know it's a real. And there's also, like, the passive complaint where it's kind of like, oh, can you kind of do that? And then it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it, and then they forget about it, and it doesn't seem like it's been a big deal, you know? Where like I can see guys being this way. Like I could imagine the dumbass who's like, you know, maybe she asks him to do it, like, oh, can you please do the dishes for me, you know? Acting all sweet, he's like, yeah, I'll do it, and then he forgets and completely doesn't, and then she ends up doing it because he forgot, and he doesn't realize that that's really pissing her off. You know?
And at that point,
the fact that she asked him and he didn't,
if you were to ask again,
like, oh,
then
no.
you feel like a nag.
Yeah, then you'd feel like a
so
nag.
It's too
and like,
late.
yes, in that scenario, definitely, like, he fucked up. And the lack of self-awareness would be in, like, not correcting it the second time, you know, letting it happen again and again. And that probably is what happened. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to assume too much about this guy who might be a dick.
A lot of the mind-reading mentality that you're discussing really just stems from women not wanting to be labeled as nags.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to tell you so that you don't have an excuse to call us a nag, because no one wants to be labeled as that.
No one wants to be a bitch. And that's it's not just a nag. Most guys probably wouldn't call you a nag. They'd be like, oh, that bitch. That's what it is. You don't want to be a bitch. It's fair to say bitch. That's, you know, the more common
no
word.
one wants to be perceived that way, you know?
Yeah.
So it's easier to set yourself up to want somebody and expect somebody to realize that there is a need and try to fulfill that need, rather than harping on somebody and then being labeled as a bitch because you value that this thing is getting done.
And it's similar for guys. You know, when we were living in the fucking Radcon house, and it was like, you know, like, it suddenly became very apparent that Davu was the one who was mostly the cause of all of the dishes piling up, when it was like, wait a minute, Ben only uses plastic plates, Victor washes all of his dishes immediately, Conrad only uses plastic plates, Shade and Amber don't use the sink, they've got their own space, so where the fuck are all the dishes coming from? Oh, it's all the Davu. Oh shit. And then it's like, and so you get to that point where you're like, well, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the one. No one wants to be the one who has to tell someone that they're fucking up, you know? Like,
so
no one wants to be that guy. Yeah, I understand. But then in the end, we had to confront him and be like, we think you're the one who is the root cause of this.
It's you, dude.
Yeah. And we had suggested at it as a problem, but he had kind of always deflected as, like, it was everyone doing it. And Davu was also, like, somehow mad about it at the same time. And then it was just, like, all of a sudden we were just like, wait a minute. No one else is causing this problem. Then we confronted him about it, and he was just kind of... I think he came to the realization that we were right, and he didn't realize, because he wasn't just paying attention to what he was doing.
He wasn't looking at what was going on.
He was just assuming that there were other people's dishes there and didn't realize it was all his. It was like, ah. But at some point, yeah. Like, we can sit there and be mad at Davu forever, but unless... And I'm throwing Davu under the bus for this, but but unless we said something, then we don't really have a right to get pissed off about it, you know? Because there's a difference between, like, being upset with someone for not doing it, and then, like, raging at them behind their back, and then you haven't even said anything, you know?
It's a quandary.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wouldn't, I don't, it's really that I don't want people to be mad at me for something that I don't know I'm not doing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, with you, I definitely know it's just the fact that you don't think about it. You're not doing it in a malicious way to, like, try and shirk work or anything like that.
If the dishes aren't put away, I'm sure that's a common one. If all the dishes aren't put away, it's just because I'm stupid. It's because you wash the dishes, and then you put them on the drying thing, and then you walk away. And then you don't think about the dishes again until you're washing the dishes again. And then, like... I have a problem where I start washing the dishes again, not looking over at the thing full of dishes, and then I put a dish in there that's wet, and now I'm like, shit, well now I got all the other dishes wet, and now those ones have to dry again. So I can't put them away. Because I'm too stupid.
But I think there are also situations that are not like that, where someone is just taking advantage of the fact that the other person will do
Yeah.
the thing.
Because there's people like Conrad out there who would consciously do that. Throwing Conrad under the bus.
I was not saying that about
But
you.
I'm pretty sure. I feel like Conrad has used those exact words of like, I'm not gonna do it because eventually someone else will do it for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's very much the fucking Conrad and Shade mentality about a lot of stuff growing up. Especially Shade, because Shade never had to do anything. He never had to do fucking anything. Because me and Conrad were older, and so we had to do it. And if he just didn't do it, eventually my mom, you know, either me and Shade shared a room and I'd kind of have to do it, or my mom would just clean our rooms, you know. That's how it was for Shade and Conrad with everything. It's just like, oh, well, if we ignore them for long enough, my mom will do it, you know? She will end up cleaning Conrad's room. She's done it plenty of times until he was an adult, you know? When he went away to the Philippines, my mom spent like 2 days cleaning his fucking room because he would never clean it, and so he'd just wait for my mom to crack and do it, you know? Or my dad. He would never cut his hair. He would never brush his fucking hair until my dad had to crack and brush Conrad's hair for him. He would get these fucking disgusting bird nests in his hair until someone gave in and would either... He explained this story where he was trying to get money for cutting his hair.
God.
He wanted my dad or Mima to pay him to cut his own hair, which happened. He was paid to cut his hair because he refused to brush it.
Boy.
And he became such a nasty bitch that my dad was willing to pay him to cut his hair. And my dad who would brush his hair for him. It's like, so yes, that person exists.
Yes.
It was Conrad.
It was Conrad.
Conrad who would endlessly try to manipulate me into doing the dishes when it was his turn to do them, and then they would never get done. Because there were plenty of times where, you know, fucking believe me, growing up, I had a lot of fucking pride about not letting Conrad make me do the shit that he wouldn't do. Like, I hated it so fucking much. But then, like, as I got older, I started to realize... Like, because every time Conrad won and I ended up having to do the dishes for him, I would feel fucking pissed for hours. Like, it would ruin my entire night that Conrad got the better of me and I had to do the chore for him, you know? It would piss me off so much anytime Conrad won. But then, like, towards the end of living at home, I started to realize, you know, if I just did it all myself, I would have never been upset. Because it's easy at the end of the day. Like, in the time it takes, especially with cooking dinner, everything. Conrad will fucking drag these arguments on for hours, and nothing will ever get done, and then everyone is pissed off by the end. And it's like, if I had just sucked it up and swallowed my pride, you know, even though it would have inconvenienced me, if I had just done the work, if I had just done the dishes when it needed to be done, you know, it would have gotten done in 5 minutes, and no one would have been upset, and I would have felt great, you know? I would have accomplished a small task, and I would have been the most clean. I would have gotten praise from my parents, you know? Like, it only would have been good in the end if I had just done it myself, instead of, like, being so mad at Conrad and having so much pride in not doing it, you know, not giving in. I just would have been happier if I had just done it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh. So, like, that's where I'm coming from with, like, the pride angle. It's like, sometimes... You know, you can let the other guy win for the sake of not being pissed off all the time, you know? Yeah. It's not worth the energy. Like, just let him win.
And, that thought loops back into, how there's a perfect person for every quirk.
There you go, yes. I am a person who would rather give up than just make a fucking big deal out of everything.
And there's someone who can also deal with the person who absolutely will not yield and will just wait until you do the thing.
Yes. But, like, I don't know. I strongly believe in that philosophy now of just, like, you're better off yielding, you know? You're better off not wasting the energy. Because at the end of the day, you know, you just want to be happy. What's the point? What's the point of being upset? I wish I had realized that when I was younger, you know? And I admire the kind of person who will just be nice and, like, do it anyways and not make a big deal out of it, you know? Isn't that the coolest kind of person? Who will just, like, pitch in without any compensation, without being asked at all, you know. And yeah, there you go with the not being asked thing. And I agree. If someone just does everything without being asked, it's awesome.
It's you know, it's just a nice thing, because you know, when you're the default person that does the thing, you do it without anyone asking you. So you just kind of want the same courtesy projected to you as you're projecting to other people.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to.
There's a certain limit where it's like, there's a certain limit where people should be helping you, and then a certain limit where you should swallow your pride if it's like bothering you that much, you know? Like if it's destroying your marriage, that it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to do for you.
I don't know what to do for you.
Like
right, if you guys are having actual fights about who's doing the dishes.
Like there's a problem. Fuck!
Doing real good.
Anyways, I guess that's all I gotta say about that. I do wish I had given up. Given up more in life.
There you go. You heard it here. Give up. It's the best.
Yes.
Save
your fucking strength for something that matters. do the fucking. Your brother won't do the dishes. Who fucking cares, man? Whatever. Just do them. It's better to have a clean house than to win. Cause what are you getting in the end? Because then just the parents end up doing it. Like if I'm so full of pride that I won't do it because Conrad won't do it, but in the end my dad has to do it because I didn't do it, you know. And then it's like, well, now I've inconvenienced someone who actually has valuable time and like didn't need this stress, you know. Sorry, Dad, for not giving up against Conrad, you know, more often.
More often.
Or you know, maybe I was a dick sometimes, you know. I don't always want to make Conrad the bad guy, even though he played the bad guy through
even though he was literally Kaiba?
Yes, even though he literally was Seto Kaiba. I'm sure I was quite stubborn a lot of the time, too. This is hard as fuck. This is like the hardest thing in the entire game is this right here.
Oh, God.
Yes! Oh, my God.
Oh!
No! That's why it's the hardest! Fuck!
Fuck my ass,
I seriously spent like an hour on this challenge before.
Damn, just look at Mario free falling.
I was supposed to jump and ground pound to make it stop, but I didn't think about it because I was, you know.
Because you were thinking
whatever.
about
all right.
justice.
How long is this episode at?
Justice. Oh God, it's 1 a.m. 27 minutes.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
You got any other topics? Because we could just make this the last episode and end it. End it with me getting this moon because I need it.
That pretty much was everything that occurred to me this week.
Oh, shit.
So.
I think that's it.
I think that's
it.
Alright, guys, bye.
No, I gotta finish the thing. I gotta beat this. Hold on, let's see if I have a topic.
We love you, bye.
Love you, fam. I want to beat this. I want to get this moon.
Yeah, but we could be here for like.
I'll try it a couple more times.
40 more minutes.
I don't want the cliffhanger.
Oh, listen. I'm gonna chill.
Nope. It's just all this nihilistic shit from before.
Oh my god. Jesus. Oh, fucking rip, dude.
What else? We responded to the Conrad. Shit. Someone was talking about how no matter what the last
fuck.
The last episode of the session always has the and here it is.
Yeah, there's always the grumbling and the complaints.
This fucking stupid, you turn on a dime when you have these fucking flowers. It's so annoying. They couldn't change the controls a little bit so that you could actually steer yourself.
That's part of the challenge, bro.
It is. I'm glad they did that because otherwise it would just be easy and what's the point? But also
Victor, I hate it, but I'm glad it's here, Collins.
You completely reorient yourself when you throw the hat, and so you just like fly the fuck off course. Yeah. This game brings back like, it does a perfect job of like having a great enough camera that it's not fuck. It's not completely frustrating. But then like, it accomplishes what 3D platformers
Time to die.
what a good 3D platformer can do, which is make the platforming frustrating as fuck. It's like, that's what you want. You want some things to be like the simplest challenge that just ends up being fucking hard as shit because the controls are a bitch and the camera's in the wrong spot. And it's like, that's what a 3D platformer is, you know? You don't need to fix that. Otherwise, there's no challenge. What's the point?
That's true. People love Mario 64, and that's all Mario 64 is.
Exactly. And it's like there's moments in this game where
camera
it brings
being an
back
asshole.
that Mario 64 nostalgia of like, oh my god, this is the most frustrating thing ever because this thing controls like shit. And when you throw your hat, you fucking spin 90 degrees and then you're just like, ah! Ah!
Right.
You have to go vertical up this thing and you turn on a dime, so you have to like very carefully do this part. And then you're still going and you're like, oh, yeah, I did
Got
it.
him.
Woo!
There he is.
I got the moon, guys. I accomplished.
And you take the moon.
I transcended history and the world. I did that way faster than the last time I was here. I almost gave up last time, but it was driving me insane. Because it feels like it should be so easy, but it's so fucking frustrating. Alright, guys.
Yeah.
That's it for this
We
sesh.
got a bunch of moons.
Should probably go to bed.
Yeah.
I got shit to
I
do
got
tomorrow.
school in the morning. Look how happy Mario is. Fuck you, Mario. Get out of here. Bitch.